Namaste, DDs. My name is Sherry Sutton, and I am your marketing mentor. So excited to be here today. We're going to talk about email marketing. Email is an incredibly important part of your overall marketing mix. And what I mean by marketing mix is all the things you do to drive business, right? You can't do just one thing because I'll show you in a minute, but people interact with you differently depending on how well they know your business. So you want to make sure you're doing different types of activities based on how well they know you. We're going to talk about that more here in a minute. But also, you want to make sure that you're not putting all of your eggs in one basket, as it were, right? So let's use social media as an example. Social media is fantastic. I use it significantly in my own business, as do most of my clients. But social media, you don't own, right? You don't own whether or not people see your information. You don't own the platform. You don't own the algorithm. You don't know if someone's actually going to see anything that you ever post. And you can very easily have an algorithm change that could completely change the way that you're marketing your business. And it's going to take you a little bit to pivot. And God forbid something happens and it goes down, right? Look what's happening. So I'm taping this in March of 2023, and the government's actually going through a process of talking about potentially banning TikTok, right? Because it's owned by a Chinese company, and there's some current concerns from a national security perspective. So anyone who has don't quote me if this is exactly right, but anybody who works for the government who uses on their government phones, they're not allowed to have TikTok anymore. And so that's one of those things where you just have to be very careful about putting all of your eggs in one basket, right? Or let's say you only do advertising, right, in this one magazine, and then the magazine goes out of business and now you don't have anywhere to drive new leads. So email marketing is a part of your overall marketing mix. You should have lots of different things that you're doing to make sure you're driving business. So if one of them starts failing, you have other things to rely on. So let's spend a few minutes diving into what an email marketing campaign looks like. This is just sort of the very basics. I'm going to add my slides in. Okay, there we go. Just to let you know, this is a very high level introduction to email marketing. One of the things that we'll talk about towards the end is I have a new mastermind coming. It's truly one of the best pieces of content I've ever created. I'm so excited. It's 4 months, and we have an entire module just on email. So we're going to spend an entire week just talking about email marketing, how to make it really great. We're going to be co-working together, creating your emails. It's going to be phenomenal. But this is just a little bit of a overview of what we'll cover in that class. Plus, obviously, there'll be a ton more. So as I mentioned earlier, email marketing is really just one part of your overall marketing mix, because people interact with you differently depending on how well they know you. We usually see 3 different phases of what's called the marketing funnel or the sales cycle, depending on what model you're looking at. So the first is awareness, and I'll talk about which activities you do there. But the first is awareness. In awareness, you want to do lots of different activities to try to drive people to consideration. The types of activities you're going to do during the consideration phase are going to be different than in the decision-making phase, right? Where people are really at the point where they're probably ready to get onto a phone call with you or whatever. So you want to make sure that in your marketing mix, you're doing things in each of these 3 categories and being very specific about what is the interest of people here, right? And then how do I drive them to the next category? And email marketing really falls kind of further down in the funnel. So it's really designed for people who already are aware of your business, right? They're considering buying from you. They've done something, or you've done something that has given them enough interest in your business that they're willing to give up their email. And that means that they have given you permission to email, right? And they are willing to consider you. Now, there are ways that you can buy lists and cold spam people. I never recommend that you do that. Frankly, the return rate on those types of emails is so low. I generally don't say that. So when I'm talking about email marketing, it's people who have done something else with you, who have given you their email address. And I'm going to talk about how you collect those email addresses later. But when we talk about all the different things you can do to drive your business, you really want to make sure that you, again, have some activities in the awareness section, some activities in consideration, and some activities down in the decision-making phase. So you never want to only have one thing that you're doing, because also you have to remember, people need to see your message at least 7 times before they even consider buying from you. So even in that awareness side, right? And some people are saying, like up to 30, right? But the old adage is 7. So you have to make sure that you've got a lot of awareness generation activities before you even get them to the point of considering your products. So, and that's all marketing and things to talk about in another class on another day. Again, we're going to go into this in depth in the mastermind, where we're going to identify exactly for your business, what are the awareness generation activities you're going to do, and then you're going to learn how to do them. What do we do in consideration and what do we do in decision, all without having to spend a whole lot of money. Okay, so the first thing you need in this whole approach is a way that collects emails. So people have become, I'm going to go back to the slide before, people have become aware of you, right? Through, let's say, social media, networking, maybe they read an article about you, they heard you on a podcast, and now they're willing to consider something with you, right? Or consider working with you, and they're ready to give you their email. But what you need to do is have some sort of a promotion that collects these emails. And again, this is something we're going to talk about in the masterclass. We've got an entire week where we're just going to talk about how do you collect emails from people, right? Because you have to give them something in order to receive that data. And that's one thing to keep in mind in any kind of business, and especially with marketing, is there's this give and take in marketing, right? If you want people to give you their email address or their phone number, or then certainly money, right? You have to give them something in exchange. So there's lots of different things that you can do to collect email addresses. There's lots of things that you can give. So there's things like freebies, right? Maybe it's, how many times have you done a sweepstakes or a raffle or something like that, right? Those are all freebies. A downloadable guide, right? Let's say you're a realtor. You could do a downloadable guide to buying a home in Frisco, Texas, right? You could create something on Canva, save it as a PDF, right? There's lots of great downloadable guides. I use these quite a bit, right? Webinars. This is a lead collection type of activity, right? This is a consideration activity, this seminar that I'm doing right now. So most of the folks who are watching this right now have given me their email address in order to get access to this content. I'm also streaming it on social media, but it's a way for me to collect email addresses so that I can follow up with people afterwards. So a webinar like this is also a great way to collect names and emails. Quizzes. I recently did a quiz. I did a which Sex and the City entrepreneur are you? It was really fun. I can tell you it grew my email list by about 10%. So that was an incredibly successful type of a thing. And I can teach you guys how to do that if you're interested. Send me a direct message and I'll teach you how I did it. Calculators, like you could do, let's say, you're a mortgage broker. You could do a cost of living in Frisco, Texas, which is where I live, for those of you guys who are watching this who might not know. So there's lots of different things that you can give to people in exchange for getting their email address back. Once you have their email address, keep in mind that you've got permission to email them. Now, you don't have permission to spam them. And we're going to talk about frequency of messaging later and how not to be spammy, but they have shown interest in you. Again, I don't believe in buying lists and just emailing you. So if you're doing that, this advice isn't for you. But if you're really building an organic list where you're giving somebody something in exchange for their email address, they've given you permission. They've said, I'm interested in learning more about your content. Send me some things. Again, within reason. We're going to talk about how to do that here in a minute. But don't feel weird about doing it, right? If somebody's given you their email address, reach out to them, right? Email them. All right, so the rest of this presentation, I'm going to talk about tips for creating emails that sell. Again, very high level tips. We're going to go into this in depth in the masterclass, which starts in April, but I wanted to give you kind of high level view of what that looks like now. So you've got a few tips that you can take today to go write some emails. All right. First thing I hear with people when I say we got to start doing some email marketing is they don't want to feel spammy, right? They don't want to be one of those people. I totally get that. And my approach to marketing is different than a lot of other people's, which is I believe in giving tons of value, right? Marketing should be a constant giving of value to your clients, right? Knowing that they're going to want more and that they're going to buy from you in exchange. So in your any type of marketing, whether it's on, your social media, your presentations, your webinars, your downloadables, anything that you're doing, always come to it from a place of value. I'm going to use this webinar that I'm doing right now as an example, right? I'm out here giving you guys free advice, essentially, right? Yes, I've asked for some emails in exchange, right? But I'm really just constantly giving value to my audience in a way that I think is going to, one, help them, right? Drive my larger mission of helping people to really embrace their authenticity through entrepreneurship, right? But by doing that, you're going to create an audience that loves you. They're going to keep tuning in. They're going to be like, hey, I want to learn more from her. And then when they need something, they need more time with you or they need more from you, then they're going to buy, right? I can tell you, I had a woman the other day who was, I was at a networking event. And she said she had to tell like a number of people. I don't know if she might be here today. She was like, oh my God, you have to go watch Sherry's Thursday videos, right? They're so good. They're such great training. So you always want to be coming to your marketing from a place of value and giving value, giving some free advice, right? Doesn't mean you just give away the farm, but give away enough that people can make their lives better, right? But they'll know what you can do for them if they're ready to buy more. So you won't feel spammy if everything you do comes from a place of giving value. And if you don't really know how to do that, let me know. We can kind of talk through what your content strategy should be, what types of content you can give that are value-based as opposed to like ones that feel kind of spammy. Frequency. This is one of the top questions that I get when it comes to email marketing. I recommend that you do something at least weekly. I don't think more than once a day. I have folks, even my mentors who I adore, who often during a launch period will do something more than once a day. Sometimes, like if you've got a sign up by midnight to get this special deal, then maybe multiple emails a day. I find it to be too much, and the metrics generally show that your click-throughs and your opens are going to go down when you get past like one email a day. And it's also, frankly, if you're trying to do one email a day, it is very difficult to create really value-added content on a daily basis unless you've got some help. And most of the folks who are watching this probably don't have professional content creators who are helping them. And so it's very difficult to come up with new content that's value added on a daily basis. But for a lot of us, we can do something weekly, right? So I say at least once a week. Most of my folks who especially when I first start working with them, they just want to do an email once a month. And I say, do whatever you can, right? I mean, my approach is let's do as much as we can without driving ourselves crazy. But there is also a little bit of a threshold, right? Of how much we need to do. I think once a month is not enough. How many emails do you get that you don't open, right? And again, it goes back to this idea of people need to see your message at least 7 times before they're even willing to buy from you. Or they're willing to consider buying from you. So you want to have a lot of repetition and being in front of people in lots of different places over and over and over again. So you can do that on social media. You can also do that on email, right? You can do that through networking. You can do that through all sorts of ads, whatever else you're doing. But I like to say email once a week. Just because, again, it allows us to start getting up to those numbers, right? Where people are starting to consider us more. If you're only posting once a week and only emailing once a month, right? I mean, even if you really look at the 7 number, now you're getting in front of people 4 times. That's assuming, or no, 5 times, right? 4 posts and 1 email. That's not enough within that month, right? To get somebody to be interested in knowing. Now you're looking at 2 months, and often that's probably more than we really want. right? That's assuming everybody sees every social post and everybody sees every email, which doesn't happen. Here's the thing is people are like, oh my God, that feels like so much content. But here's the thing, don't be afraid to reuse content that you're already creating for social media, for webinars like this, for talks, interviews that you do, podcast interviews that you do. Any of that is fodder for great emails later. So I'll give you an example. One of the things that I'm going to do after this is I don't love writing. I'm a better talker. So I actually have a copywriter who's going to watch this. Hi, Liz. She's watching right now. I'm going to have a copywriter watch this afterwards, and she's going to write a recap for me. And I'm going to use that in a couple different ways. I'm going to use that as my email. That's going to be a follow-up email that I'm going to send to my entire audience tomorrow. And it's going to have the recap. And then it's going to also have a link to where they can watch an archived version of this training. But I'm also going to use that probably for social media, and we'll use the same content for social media. It's also going to go on my blog. I'm also going to use that content on YouTube. And so I reuse that content. So just this one event that I'm doing right now allows me to create content once, but then I use it in lots of places, both before the event and after. So again, that's sort of a longer conversation, but when it comes to your email marketing, don't be afraid to reuse something that you've done on social. It's one of the things that my team and I were talking about yesterday, because I have, as I was mentioning earlier, this masterclass coming up. And so, we want to really do a lot of really value add content that it connects with the topics that we're going to have in the masterclass. And it's because I'm a better talker than I am a writer, I'm going to start going live more frequently over the next few weeks, and you'll start seeing me emailing a little bit more, because we're going to take those lives that I do and we're going to translate those into emails. So you don't have to create brand new content all the time. You can take one piece of content and use it for email. You can use it for social media. I'll give you an example. I'm doing a presentation. It's not next week, it's the week after. I'm going to be live at the DFW Women's Networking Group. I hope you can come. It's a luncheon. It's in Hearst. But I'm going to go live from there, right? So I'm kind of killing two birds with one stone. So I won't beat this point to death, but it's the idea of taking one piece of content and using it in multiple places. And don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to use the exact same thing you use, content that you're using in social media, and use it inside of your emails. One of the next questions that I get the most is, what are your favorite low cost email platforms, right? It doesn't need to be a super sophisticated system. You do generally need something more than just using your Gmail account. Though I can tell you, my husband has an incredibly successful business, and he does all of his marketing emails from Gmail. I wouldn't recommend it. He doesn't have a huge client base. And so once you get over a couple dozen people, it gets real hard, because Google will only let you send it to so many people at once. So it only works, right, to a certain extent. If you've got, more than a couple dozen, or certainly a couple hundred or a couple thousand emails, you're going to want to have an email system that manages it. So I use a system called Allure. I love it. The woman who runs it is actually a client of mine. It is a all-in-one business system. I use it. My website's on it, my calendar, all my e-commerce, and all of my email marketing. And so it makes it super, super easy, because anytime someone, fills out, I can put a form in there. So let's say, let me start over. I got so excited. I kept going. Okay. What you can do is, and you can do this in MailChimp or in Allure, is you create a landing page and you say, hey, give me your information, and in exchange, I'll give you this thing, right? And then they fill out the information, and that will automatically put their name onto your email marketing list. And that's sort of the easiest way to do this. And again, I like Allure. I think it's about $100 a month. But again, I have all of my websites, all of my stuff through them. But I think there might be a lower cost version. Send me a note. I'll send you to their website and let you know. But I really like it if you're looking for sort of an all-in-one platform. And again, the price is incredible. And then there's MailChimp, which is really great as well. I think until you get to like 250 people, unless they've changed it, it can still be pretty inexpensive, and you can do those landing pages I was telling you about. It'll automatically go on your email, onto your email list. You can create really nice emails. I don't love the design capabilities in MailChimp. I find Allure to be a lot easier, but again, that's another popular system. Again, you can get both of those. I mean, I think MailChimp, you can almost be at like less than $50 a month. Allure, like $100 a month, which isn't a lot if you're emailing people once a week. You want to also make sure that whatever email system you're choosing, you have the ability to go back and look at the metrics, right? How many people have opened it? How many people are clicking on it and all of that. One of the most important things in an email, so you want to, obviously, all of your content, right, whether it's on social media or anywhere, should always be chock full of value, right? Here's your challenge. Here's some advice on how to handle it. And then you want to include a call to action or an invite to further engage. And this is something like, hey, set up an appointment with me, or, buy my whatever, or click here for another download, or whatever that might be. But in email marketing in particular, I always include a call to action. Sometimes with social media, I don't, because the algorithm doesn't always like links to other things. So sometimes in those awareness generation activities, you don't always want to have a buy my whatever, right? But once you've gotten into a point of consideration, we're going back to that funnel, you really can always include a call to action. So I would always include a call to action where they can learn more or engage with you further. Because the next thing you want is to get them from a consideration point to a decision-making point. So you want to push them towards that decision-making point. And I think this is my last tip, but my last tip is keep your content scannable with not too many words, but lots of graphics, but keep it simple, right? One of the things I find, people will only want to do emails like once a month, but then they have so much stuff in their emails that it's too much for people to process. So I would rather say do more frequent emails, but chop up the content. Because think about it, we don't really read anything anymore, right? We are a scanning culture. And so make sure that your emails are scannable as well, right? So keep the content short, keep the paragraphs short. There's a great technique, and we can maybe I'll do a training on this another time, where you do these little, oh gosh, what are they called? Where they're little content bumps, right? Where you say something and then you'll have but that's not the truth. Right? And then you have another bit of content. It's like this little, as you're scanning, it'll pop out or you can even say, if you want to swear, well, that's BS or something like that. Right? So just something that, within different blocks of your content kind of pops out. And we could sit here and talk all day about how to write effective emails, and we'll do that more in the masterclass, but just keep it very scannable, right? What are the couple things that I need to know? Cool, right? Don't put a lot of words. This isn't a time for a big, long letter about, what's going on in your business. It's a time for, keeping things nice, short, and concise. So I hope this was super helpful for you guys in thinking about an email marketing plan. I highly, highly recommend that you have email marketing as a part of your marketing mix. And if you want to learn more about how to drive business without all the BS of all the things that, you're supposed to do, or I don't know what I'm supposed to do, and you want to keep costs really, really low, I have a marketing mastermind that's designed just for you. It's a 4-month mastermind. We're going to cover the 4 pieces of marketing that are really effective and very low cost. And they're really the fundamentals of how to grow your business. And so they include social media, email marketing. This is a little sneak peek of what that might look like. Funnels. So we talked about that, right? What are you going to offer people as a freebie in order to collect their emails? And networking is going to be one of the other pieces, and really the connection between networking and social media, because that's where social media really thrives, is in helping you stay in touch with the people who you're meeting and developing one-on-one relationships with. So 4-month mastermind, and a mastermind means that we're going to do a lot of co-working. So there's going to be time where you're going to learn from me. Then we're going to actually work on things together as a group. You're going to have homework, pre-assignments. There's going to be a Facebook group. It's going to be really, really awesome. I'm so excited about it. I think I have created some of the best content I've ever created for this. So I'm so excited. We're going to start in April. So if you're interested in joining, please head over to the website. I do have very limited number of people I'm going to allow in, because I want to keep it really small and intimate. And so it's going to fill up pretty quick. So you can head over to my website, which is dd.marketing, or you can go to the nobsmarketingmasterclass.com and you'll get the information there, or just direct message me if you have any questions. The cool thing is, so the price point on it, it's $24.99 if you pay up front, or I'm offering a payment plan, which is $249 a month for 12 months. So it's super affordable. So I hope this was super helpful again for you. Please let me know if you have ideas for future topics. Again, I do these trainings every Thursday at noon Eastern Standard Time, unless I'm sick. For those of you who are here, who were supposed to watch this last week, thank you so much for coming back. I apologize. I had COVID, and so I'm re-entering the world again. So thank you so much for your patience, and I appreciate you coming back. And I hope you guys have a fabulous day. If you have any more questions about email marketing, send me a note. My email is Sherry, SHERRY, @dd.marketing, or you can find me on all of the social channels. Talk to you soon.